Let's go. It's your man Mike Bowens coming to you once again, live and direct. Listen, I got another powerful message for you. This message is entitled, I think, therefore I am. I think, therefore I am. Listen, it's a powerful scripture in the Bible. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Now, there's also a book written on it. And I believe James Allen wrote this book, As a Man Thinketh. Several years ago, in my teenage years, my mother introduced me to this book. And I remember I was just going through so much depression during that time. Just depression. I was depressed about everything. I was depressed with the way I was living. I was in my mother's house, in a room. And I just seemed to not have any progress in my life at that period of time. I was like 17, 18 years old. And I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I'm on a fast track to nowhere. And I just remember constantly thinking that over and over and over and over and over. I couldn't get off that track. And so when she introduced this book to me and I sat down and read it, I went by the river, right? Because I love going by the water. And it was a summer day, put my flip-flops on, went out there, sat down by the water on the bench, and I'll never forget it. It changed my life. Because the book was talking about, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And I said, okay, but it went deeper. The book might have had 20 pages in it, but it was profound. Because it started to show me that thoughts become things. And every action that you have in your life stems from a thought. So man has the power to think himself happy, to think himself sad. Man has the power to think himself healthy or to think himself sick. Man has the power to think himself into a good relationship or a bad relationship. Man has the power to think himself into wealth or into poverty. So it started to show me that God has put the power within man to control his destiny. And I said, man, this is completely different than the teachings that I've been getting for several years at the church, where God is all in control of everything, over your life, everything you do, as opposed to God gives you the power to make the choices in your life, right? And now you must learn how to think on his word, meditate on his word, that it may go well and prosperous with you. He laid out his word. Now you have to renew your mind to think how God thinks, speak how God thinks. And so from that point, I have been on a journey of reconstructing my thoughts, reconstructing how I think, reconstructing how I speak, to think what God says I can do, thinking positive, thinking the best in every situation. Right? I don't go into situations thinking I'm going to lose. I don't start a business venture and say, you know what? I'm not sure if this is going to make it. I'm constantly, by faith, believing that this is the best thing that I'm doing. It's going to work out to the best, right? For me and my family and all those that's connected to it. And I feel that the problem is with a lot of people, especially generationally, is that we think negatively because it's passed down to us. We have not taken the time to renew our minds. We have not taken the minds to understand that it is our thoughts that put us in predicaments, right? A lot of pain is self-inflicted. Just like I just recently, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was telling me how a lot of family members that he has don't want to move from the projects. They want to stay there, even though they have the resources now and the money to get them out and put them in a better environment. But to them, that is a good environment, right? And just from looking at it, now I'm not down at anybody that lives there. Shoot, I come from there. What I'm saying is, when you know better, you should do better. That's all I'm saying. And when there's violence around you, poor education around you, it also becomes a way of life for you. Like, you don't think that you should be doing better than what you are, because to you, that is the best. It's like when people were slaves, they gave them the scraps of the pig. And then what do we do as a culture? We go and make pig feet and pig intestines a delicacy, when clearly this is the food that harms the human body, right? So sometimes what I'm saying is we take the worst things and we adapt to it and make it a part of our life, and it becomes generational for us. I do it, my son does it, he grows up because I instilled this in him. He'll have a son and teach it to his son. As opposed to retraining how we think according to the scriptures in the Bible, so that we can shape our thinking that will shape our lives and will impact generations after us. Right? A lot of people die and they leave bills behind for their kids. Funeral bill, right? Pain, heartache. When the Bible says a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So dang, let me put a will together. Let me start to ponder this, think about this. Let me get some businesses I can leave to my children. Let me leave some assets to my children, some property to my children, some stocks to my children, some bonds to my children. Something tangible. Not just a bunch of I love yous. Not just a bunch of, sentimental value. That's important too, don't get me wrong, but I want you to start off better than what I did. Thoughts determine your life. What you're constantly thinking about. How you feel about yourself. How you feel about what you're doing in life. Right? Some people they can't separate what is it they're currently doing to what they're going to be doing. You have to do something to get to where you want to be. And unfortunately, a lot of parents have not set themselves up where they leave their children things that they could just walk into. So now you're starting from the bottom. And it's a lot harder to start from the bottom than a person who's been set up. So a lot of times what you do is we will look at our counterparts, people different ethnicities, people with different backgrounds, that's around the same age as us. And you look at their life and you look at your life and you compare. But look where they're starting from. Look what their parents did for them. And look what your parents were able to do for you. And I'm not knocking what some of our parents did for us. They did the best that they could with what they had. But you cannot compare yourself to other people because psychologically it damages you. Psychologically it makes you very unhappy with your life. And so you constantly got to put yourself in the state of thinking and being that you're making strategic steps, strategic thought patterns to put you where you want to be. If I'm thinking this and I'm doing this, then my result is going to be this. Not too long ago, my wife and I made a decision to get out of debt. Actually, this is a few years in the making. And every time that we earned money and we were paying off these debts, psychologically, it was a struggle because a part of you wants to shop. A part of you wants to buy some things. A part of you wants to do something that you want to do with that money. But the planning part of you said, this is what we got to do to take our lives from here to here. We got to clear out our debts. We got to knock it down. Because by doing so, for one, we increase our credit, which increases our capability to have other streams of income in terms of rental property, in terms of businesses and things of that nature. And it frees us up. So every month you don't have to be like, I'm paying this one, I'm paying this one, I'm paying this one, I'm paying this one. No. Now you can use that money and have a plan what you want to do with it. So you can't go through life just willy-nilly. You can't just go through life like I'm just going to live spontaneously. No, you got to have a plan. And that starts with how you think. That starts with how you think. I read a book a long time ago called The Automatic Millionaire. And how this couple took money from out of their account every month and they put some away. They paid off their house that they lived in. They had a few rental properties. He worked as a plumber, I believe, and she worked as a hairdresser. Now from looking at them, they look modest. They didn't look like they had a bunch of money. But when the financial planner opened up their books, he was blown away because he couldn't believe that this couple was living better than him, because their house was paid for and a few properties that they had was paid for, I believe. And they had income coming in on a monthly basis. They could retire within the next year or two if they wanted to. Whereas the client who came in before them was a man, had a Rolex watch on, had a Lamborghini or a Corvette parked outside. He had all the trappings of success, right? He made a lot of money, but then he went through a divorce, right? He's paying alimony. He's living up to his means every month. He's spending more than he has coming in. So now he looks like he's doing better, but he's not. He's basically living check to check, right? About to just die in debt. See, sometimes it's not what you see, right? That's really telling the true story. It's sometimes what you don't see. As we talk in this country about mental health, sometimes it's what you don't see that's going on in a person's brain that caused them to flip out. And until we begin to address the situation, that if we don't monitor our thoughts, right, then we will never change our life. And especially with Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat and all these things like that, you're seeing supposedly people's lives. They be faking, they be fronting, standing in front of a Benz that's not even yours, putting clothes on in the store, taking pictures in them, and then taking those clothes off and putting them back on the rack. Right? It's not even yours, fronting like that's yours, standing in front of somebody else's house, take a picture, and it's not even yours. And people watch this and they look at their own life and say, my life is terrible. Look how I'm living, but look how these people live. As opposed to being real. But most people not going to be real. They're going to front and fake like they're really living a life that they're not. And so you got to control what you think. Because by controlling what you think, you control the choices that you choose to make in your life. I hope this message encouraged somebody. I hope this message strengthened somebody to go to another level in living. This is your man Mike Bowens. I'm signing off until next time, and I'm saying be blessed.